Joining us now via telephone, so we're going to have to get all these headphones up here, guys, is Glenn Davis. He is a House member from Virginia Beach, Republican. He had a fun party at the Advance, no doubt. Glenn, welcome. You're at the Republican Roundtable, Andrew's Army. Good to have you with us.
John, thanks for having me. You know, I'm a little jealous. You asked me to host a show, and I have to talk for 4 hours, and but when, you bring other people on, you get a good, fun group together. You'll have a blast. You have donuts. You don't even leave me bottled water.
Well, that's true, but I do tell you to bring your own water and your own coffee. When you're in my studio, I tell everybody, don't drink the water. You will get sick. It's worse than Mexico.
I'm glad to be on, John. I appreciate it.
All right, so look, you got the esteemed panel here. They got a lot of questions they want to ask. I'm going to start with Andrew. Andrew, I know you wanted to ask him about his campaign and some of the things he's working on.
Hey, Glenn, I've been really impressed with what you're doing. I like the emails that you send out, and I like that it appears like you're the only one doing the out-of-the-box things. You're getting in the RV and you're going to the nooks and crannies that you have to get off of interstates for. I think you were recently out in the coal country. I think that's important because that's a part of Virginia that often gets forgotten. Tell us kind of how the campaign is going, where you've been over time, and what kind of reaction you're getting from folks.
Well, Andrew, I appreciate it. Thanks for your comments. The campaign's going great. I mean, at this point, we're 27,000 miles on the RV. I know I have an opponent that reports his as take mine times 2, but logistically, I don't think that works out well. But we've got about 26,000 miles plus on that RV. We were in coal country 4 times within a 2-month span. And really what it comes down to is, I'm running on making Virginia number 1 again for business and job growth like we were under with Bob McDonnell. Now we're 13. We've fallen backwards every year. We're the 30th worst tax policies. But what really is, what makes the difference is people are hurting. And we've seen what's going on with the coal industry. So my trips out to coal country is the first time I went out there, you can't look in these people's eyes and not want to help them. And you know that those kids out there, those 10-year-olds that you're looking at, they have no chance whatsoever if we don't get something figured out. And so my trips out there weren't to necessarily go win votes. They were to go to figure out what we can do. I'm a solutions guy. Shelley, when we first got married, she used to, introduce me as her problem solver, and it's kind of half in jest. And it wasn't until about 8 months ago that I realized, that really is what I am to her. When I, brought it up to her attention, she's like, no, Glenn, that's exactly it. I tell you something, and the next thing I know, a couple of days later, you've got an answer for me. And that's what I did with coal country. You probably heard about the breakout session where I flew 2 MIT scientists into town with some unique R&D for coal that it looks like UVA-wise may be partnering with MIT to do. And that's what we're doing all around the state. That's why we have so many miles on the RV, and the support we're getting is just enormous. I know I listened to you all earlier. I know Todd Gilbert, a good friend of mine, is supporting Jill. He called me and texted me and beforehand, and he said, Glenn, look, here's the issue. I mean, they went to school together. And if I went to school with someone in high school and I needed their endorsement, you can't imagine the pressure I'd be putting on them. But I think we have a lot of support and endorsements getting ready to come out. And as you all realize with me, everything's about timing. But I don't know why people put so much weight into elected officials. I mean, we're there. We obviously haven't got the answer done, and we haven't got the solutions in place. I'm more interested in getting the endorsements of people that, can help provide those solutions and know that I'm the right guy because they know me from a business background. And that's what we're running on. That's what we're getting the support from.
Glenn, you and I have talked a little bit about, rural broadband issues and putting infrastructure in place, either technology or transportation to make these areas successful. What are folks talking to you about when you're out on the road?
It's that. It's infrastructure to grow jobs in the economy. It's not surprising that poll that came out yesterday by a 2-to-1 had jobs in the economy over the second place subject, which was education. And you can see when I go around now, my opponents, look, I have one person that started out in this campaign talking about the bathroom bill. I had another one talking about guns. Now they're both talking about jobs and tax reform. And I give them credit. They can spell tax reform, but I'm the only one that's done it. I'm the only one with a business bill that's been submitted in the General Assembly in the last 3 years. Let that sink in for a second. How can you be for tax reform and for job growth and say you're passionate about it and have never put a bill in the last 3 years? I had one of my opponents put a bill in for some procurement thing he was asked to carry. But absent that, but if you look on my side, 90% of what I do is tax reform, jobs, small business. It's what I know. It's what I understand. It's what I'm passionate about. And when I go to rural Virginia, that's what resonates with them. They're looking for, like you said, broadband because it's economic development. They're looking to bring back manufacturing to some places like Giles County, which got hurt really bad. It's not coal town out there, but their manufacturing took a really bad hit when the coal industry got hit further west from them. And that's what we're going to deliver our promises on.
Glenn, it's Aaron. I've got two questions for you. One, how is Shelley doing this morning? And number two, and that was obviously the most important question. But number two is, you're spending a lot of time in coal country. You're talking about jobs in coal country, which is great and it's very important. I would think any Republican or anybody running in coal country that is going to be talking about that. But here's my question, and I think it's a very important question that needs to be solved for coal country: is what other kinds of jobs can be brought to coal country?
Well, the first question, which I agree, the most important question is Shelley's doing very well, thank you. Actually, I was listening to your show earlier, streaming online, when y'all were talking about Shelley, and her face turned a bright red again. And y'all know Shelley, and she does have a Facebook page. She still likes to be under the radar, and she's not quite so under the radar anymore with y'all. So, but very, very generous comments, and she's very much appreciative and doing very well. Thank you. As far as the other jobs we can bring to the area, it's like with everything in life. It's always the first thing. It's always that start. Once you get the ball rolling, you get that snowball effect. And it's the same in Southwest. It's not necessarily the coal industry that in and of by itself may be able to rebound and unleash that whole area. But by bringing research and development, similar to what MIT is doing, you're going to bring in economic development. You're going to bring in industries there that want access to those, to that infrastructure, to those facilities doing the R&D, because they not only want to be able to monetize the tech that comes out of it, but also they want to be able to utilize those facilities themselves. And as you bring more industry in, then you get that trickle-down effect that us as small business people understand. You see, when you bring a big company into an area, it's not just the jobs in that company you create, but it's the jobs in the office supply store that you create because they supply the office supplies. It's the jobs in the restaurants around the new business that you create because they have to eat somewhere. It's additional grocery store scenarios and job opportunities that you create. And what's so great about Southwest Virginia and even in the Valley is it's when you have that trickle down effect, when you have that indirect effect, you're not just helping these big boxes and you're not helping these franchise entities. Those areas are an area of entrepreneurism. If you have a restaurant down there, it's a small business owner down there. If you have an office supply store, it's a local small business person. So as that indirect effect hits, it's actually helping other small businesses and other residents that own those businesses in that area. And that's where the real true impact comes from.
Glenn, let me ask you this. In Virginia, we lost our pari-mutuel racetrack. MGM Grand just opened up another casino just 10 miles outside of Virginia. It's estimated we're losing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue because we don't have a track. We don't have a casino. It's all going to Maryland. The last time I went to, I haven't been to MGM, but the last time I was at, I think, Dover Downs about a month ago, half the vehicles in the parking lot have Virginia plates. When are we going to just stop the nonsense and get in the game?
John, that's a great question, and it's so much more even than just that issue. We want to grow jobs, we want to grow disposable income, but then we don't want to provide the opportunities to capture the spending of that disposable income. And you hit it on the head with that issue with the pari-mutuel betting and all. It's one of those things where we have to recognize what opportunities are leaving the Commonwealth of Virginia. And sometimes you're right, it's as simple as just looking at the license plates in the parking lots. And then realize that there's a win-win here. People tend to want to put their heads in the sand half the time on tough issues, or they want to say that they're two absolutes, that we can't be Atlantic City and have all the slums And so, we can't go down routes. We can't do anything. Or people say, well, we have to do it all. But the fact of the matter is there's a win-win to do this. There is a middle ground here that we can capture that revenue, but we can do it in such a way that we don't let it seep over and do it in where we kind of create an Atlantic City type scenario where you've got the off-strip problems that they've got. But you have to have people willing to sit down at the table and ask and answer the tough questions. And that's what we need to get to. And I think once we're willing to do that, we'll answer your issues and have come up with the solutions as well as a lot of others.
My tough question is, are you in favor of casino gambling in Virginia or not?
I'm in favor of working to find a way to bring and capture that gambling revenue here in Virginia. What it looks like right now, we need to get a team together and figure out how we do it without the negative implications.
Let's have these two conversations
we
together.
can't go out tomorrow and say we're going to pass this without looking at it. But I'm tired of seeing tax revenue walk off our shores. It's not having it. Virginia doesn't exist in a vacuum. Not having it here isn't protecting anyone. We need to be able to capture the revenue, but do it in a manner that we don't go down the slippery slope that areas like Atlantic City and others have done.
You're spot on with that, and I want my racetrack back. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was going to say, let's tie these two conversations together. We just took our kids out to the Smoky Mountains and did the Polar Express train ride. And
cool.
Harrah's has
How was that?
It was fantastic.
I got to do that.
It was nice. We got a cabin and it was beautiful. Harrah's has a casino in Cherokee, North Carolina. I think the Greenbrier Resort now has a casino in their basement. Let's zone it in such a way
That's a nice basement, though. Let's be honest.
It is very nice.
That's not just a basement.
There's a lot of flat reclaimed mine land out in Southwest Virginia. Let's boost the tourism, put a casino on a flat former mine site, and have a win-win.
Well, you're not going to stop people from gambling. I mean, I'm telling you, whenever I go, and everybody knows I was a former racehorse trainer, so I bet the horses, and I go a lot. And every time I go to, whether it's the one in West Virginia, what is it, Charlestown,
Yep.
or Maryland or Delaware, half the cars in the parking lot have VA plates, and I'm like, this is crazy.
It's entertainment dollars.
Yeah.
That's how you choose to
They're
spend
going to spend it somewhere.
Well, they're going to spend it somewhere. If we have it in Virginia, they'll spend it here. But let's be honest, most things in life are a gamble. I mean,
That's true.
we spend our money in the stock market, our 401ks, driving up and down Interstate 81. That's a gamble in itself.
You're right.
Let's be honest. So I think Glenn's on to something here. I think the tides have shifted. The demographics certainly have shifted in Virginia. And can you name the state that has the most casinos?
Maryland.
Oklahoma.
Well, they've got some of those
Indian reservations.
Indian
Right.
reservations.
But that's a very conservative state, let's be honest.
Right.
But you can go to, just drive down the road, there's casinos everywhere.
Now, the obstacle is Speaker Howe was on my show, this was going back to 2015, I believe, or maybe 14. I asked him this question, and you know how he answered it? He said, you'll have to get a casino in the state over my cold, dead body.
But he's not going to put in a bill to repeal the state lottery.
Well, it doesn't make any sense.
It's gambling.
Plus, look, this is the other thing. Glenn, we have already passed pari-mutuel wagering in Virginia. That's a done deal. We don't have to relitigate that. We just need a racetrack. Right? That's all we have to do. So go figure it out, right?
The trickle down for the opportunity to do something like that.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hotel, motel, small businesses, restaurants, the tax revenue it would generate would be incredible.
Feed companies.
And I look at it this way is, we're talking about Southwest, which is critical, but, the area where I live, Franklin, right around the corner, they lost 1,100 jobs, and there's nothing yet to replace it. Something like that would totally revitalize an area like that. Bring back good paying jobs where people have the opportunity to stay
These aren't look, this is not a wealth creating industry where you're like manufacturing jobs, which have an exponential factor in the economy. It's good to have. It's not detrimental to the economy. There are some social consequences, let's be honest, but it's not the driver of an economy. We've seen that in other areas.
Right, but you can't. But
to have it.
But the Virginia lottery is in existence if you want to talk about social consequence.
And you ask them
No,
right
it's
now,
a
why
stretch.
are they
Well, it's a total
losing
stretch.
opportunities and to the Greenbrier? Absent our caucus, because our caucus won't leave the Virginia line. But I got news for you. You talk to our caucus members behind closed doors, and they wish they were at the Greenbrier for the same reason. They have gambling. You talk to my dad. My dad loves the Homestead. He loves the Greenbrier. They're right almost next to each other for all intents and purposes. But you give him the choice, he's at the Greenbrier. Why is he at the Greenbrier? because he likes to go downstairs once or twice during a visit and do some gambling. He enjoys that. It's a hobby, and he has fun with that. But we don't allow that as an opportunity here. So you're right. It's not going to go and unleash an area, but it's all incremental. And if I grow the attendance at the homestead by even 15%, what does that do to the jobs at the homestead? And then what does that do to the indirect jobs around the homestead? And then what does that do to further development opportunities around that area? It's that trickle-down effect over a decade of time. So it's not a silver bullet. But I think we've made enough points even just in this 5 minutes to justify a discussion, which is a heck of a lot further than we've been going in the last decade.
Well, this is where we have to move as a commonwealth to discuss. It's not just about gambling. Let's be honest. People don't go to Vegas just to gamble. They go for the shows. Mm-hmm. They go for the entertainment. They go for the great hotels they have out there. They travel for these things. But there's also the element of going to MGM Grand, which is right across the river now in Maryland. They'll go for the entire experience. It's a total entertainment experience. And most of them probably don't even go to the tables to bet or go to the sports book to bet. But why should we have to go to Vegas to place a legal bet on sports? I mean, it just seems a little.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's an anachronism.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and you hit it on the head, and that gets into even the upcoming election of 17. We want to talk about the primary scenario, but really what it comes down to is it's not just a one small piece of who's the right LG candidate in the primary. It's who's the right candidate statewide. And maybe it's a little bit of a significant pivot here, John. Sorry, but those polls you were talking about, I love the conversation. But it takes us back to the big picture. And what our team got out of those polls, and some of our analysts got out of those polls, is we're not going to win the governor's mansion if we don't win Hampton Roads. And we're not going to win Hampton Roads if we don't have someone from the ticket from Hampton Roads. So unless someone thinks Frank Wagner is going to be our gubernatorial candidate, I'm the only person left from Hampton Roads to be on that ticket that can offset Ralph Northam. And that's why I think when we start looking at big picture, whether it be gambling, whether it be, the 17 elections, we have to do it from that type of 30,000-foot view to find out really what the right answers are.
I think the moral of the story really here is, John, is that we need to have all options on the table going into 2017. We need to look for new and diverse ways to, totally change the economy in Virginia. And, I think all options are on the table at this point, and I think this is just one of many.
All right, Glenn Davis, how are you going to win this race?
Well, John, it's two ways. One is the way that I started on day one, and that's telling people about the 4-point plan to turn Virginia around and make us number one again for business and job growth. And what I knew all along, but had no supporting evidence until yesterday, was if we want to win in 17, if we want to take back all three positions, we need to win Hampton Roads. And John, I've been in city council for 5 years before I came here. You read that email of a moderate Republican that likes Ralph Northam, and there's a lot more like him. I got over 70,000 votes and 80,000 votes respectively. My two victories on city council here in Virginia Beach. Moderate Republicans like me, hard Republicans like me, and I even have some moderate Democrats. I can hold them to the line and bring them for Ed or whomever the gubernatorial candidate happens to be.
It sounds like
we don't have to. If we have two candidates from Northern Virginia, there's going to be a backlash in Hampton Roads. There will be a backlash out in Roanoke and in the Valley, and we will not win all three seats in 17 with two candidates from Northern Virginia on the statewide ticket.
All right, I'm out of time, Glenn. What's your website?
www.davis4lg.com, and we got a whole bunch of new stuff up there. Hope everyone's had a chance to look at it.
All right, thank you. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network. We'll be right back.